Welcome to the channel. My name is Andrew, and this is my little slice of heaven right here. Got some acreage out here in Virginia, and we're clearing it. We're going to put some pastures in, a barn, and a house eventually. But that's not going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately. It's kind of a slow-going process. I'm devoted to clearing the land on my own with my equipment. But meanwhile, we need kind of a warm place to stay out here when I decide to stay overnight. And we're going to be lighting some brush piles pretty soon here, so we're going to need a place to stay for a couple of days. And it's getting cold, and we're probably going to get some snow in the next month or two. So we got a 40-foot conex here that's kind of a mess. Stuffed a bunch of my garage stuff in this conex. So we're going to do some quick reorganizing, and then we're going to build a room in this conex that's going to be heated with a wood stove and be long enough in here to string a hammock up, if that's what you want to do. Otherwise, I figure a couple of cots, or eventually, if it gets used enough, bunk beds. But generally, it's just me out here. But I do have family that comes time to time and gives me a hand, so it'd be nice to have this set up so when they do come to help, they're not sleeping on the ground in a tent or out here in the cold. I can offer them a warm place to stay. So the plan is to come in off of the front about 10 feet. So about to the edge of this plywood here. And then we're going to throw up a wall, a door on one side. I think one side is going to be better than the middle. I have not quite yet decided on that. You come inside here, there'll be a window in this wall right here. We just bought a cheap window from Lowe's. It was on sale for like 50 bucks. And then I figure the wood burning stove here, punch it out the side to vent. And then the other wall will come back in here. And about right here will be the other wall. So that gives us 12 feet of space, which is going to be plenty to put up a couple of cots. It'd be tight with 2 cots and a hammock. And then we can cook on the stove, and I'll probably build a little table under the window. But I think it's going to turn out quite nice. We just got a couple more things to move, and then we can start throwing this wall up. I think we're ready to stand her up and anchor it. We'll get a couple of supports, maybe just one. We're not going to be able to screw to the side. I don't want to make holes in the sidewall other than for the stove. And I don't want any in the roof. So what we're going to do is we're going to stand up this wall and support it temporarily, and build the other wall, stand it up, support it temporarily, screw them into the ground or the wooden floor here, and then we'll put a couple runners along the top, and that'll make it real nice and rigid. And then we'll slap the plywood on here, and this thing won't go anywhere at that point. And it's a cabin in a conex. It's not a house. Again. Oh my gosh, it's tight. So the first side's up. I'm not really a fan of like how the top ended up, and that's just because there's a notch in the top. So it'll be fine. Again, 2 walls and a container for a warm space to hide out from the cold. And we'll put a support in up here at about 7 foot. And so that way the door doesn't have to be 8 foot tall. It'll just be like a 7 foot tall door. And then we'll have lights run through here. And the plan is to have 12-volt battery up front with an inverter. And then, so that'd be a battery. I have a solar panel for the roof. It's just one little one. You know, if I need to take that battery back to the house and charge it up before I stay out here, you know, that's not a problem. And then I also have this little quiet generator we can use to charge that battery or run power tools and whatnot. And then I got another, that's a 1800 watt, or I guess technically a 2200 watt generator. And then that's a 3000 Honda. So we'll have our little workshop out here and then storage in the far back. So let's get this wall framed out, and then we'll do the 2 runners on the top, and then we'll start putting the plywood sheeting on. And this is overkill for plywood, but I had already purchased it, so there's no sense in just leaving it lay around. We'll just throw it up in here. All right, we're ready to put this one up. Got our little window opening framed up there. And we're just gonna stand it up and then slide it this way as we go up, because it belongs in this area right here. Temporary perch, and I got the screws preset, and I have a different impact. It's got the hook on it, which is really nice, so you can keep it with you. Pretty solid, and the point of this is to keep the walls erect, and also there's going to potentially be a hammock hung off of this one, so we're going to throw another board on the inside here just to help with deflection. And then once we get this other side up, we'll probably take in the middle here and run 2 that go across, so it looks kind of like a ladder, and that'll just keep this deflection from, it's really not that bad, but we're going to make it better. smart and there's guys with less than 10 fingers. I'm gonna be a guy with less than 10 fingers someday, I'm sure. All right, so we got a door in. I had a spring hinge, or a sprung hinge. It's like an auto close hinge that I had in the middle here. And it worked it kind of worked. It felt nice and strong. I put it on the door and then it just quit working. So that's not gonna work. I could get one of those storm door closers and put it up here, but they're limited as to how far you can open the door. It's usually about right there. And that's gonna require some spacers and bracketry up here that I don't feel like doing. So we're going to take this someplace. I know a lot of you watching, or at least some of you watching, are going to be familiar with this method. But for those of you who aren't, it's gonna require a water bottle. We may need a heavier water bottle. It doesn't usually take much because these doors don't weigh much. So right now we're just gonna use this about 17-ounce water bottle. And if this isn't enough, I've got a larger water bottle in the truck we'll grab. What you want to do is take you a screw. A pulley would be better, but if you want to put it at like a 45 up here, at the top of your door, and you want your smooth shank sticking out. You want to leave space because it's going to have this paracord running on it like this, like a pulley. You're going to take this other side, you're going to tie you some sort of fancy knot that makes a loop. And the smaller you make that loop, the better, because you might end up having to get a washer. So what you want to do is screw this into the door corner, and that washer will capture that paracord or rope. Paracord works good because it's nice and slickery. Take you your screw, run this into the corner. All right, I could sit here and dig for a while for a washer. You could use a staple, you could use another block of wood, but you're just trying to capture that. So for us today, we got the lid off of a different water bottle. This is gonna look so natural for you guys who know where this came from. All right, then water bottle. But essentially the water bottle, you want to tie it up fairly high because the way the water bottle is going to pull the door back closed, and it's up out of the way. But if you tie your water bottle too low, then it's going to rest on the floor before the door is closed. So this is about where our water bottle needs to be. We don't have lights in here yet. That's one of the next things, but you can see we've got a pivot point up there. There's our bracket inside the door. And if you use pulleys for these, there would be a lot less friction on those pivot points. But I have fence staples. I don't have pulleys out here right now. So it seems to work okay. All right, so we got our lights up. We got one on the wall up there, two out here. We used electrical tape and magnets for now. Like a good Gorilla Tape probably would have been better, but this is what we had in the truck. And then we're just keeping the wires up out of the way with more magnets and tape. Come in here and we got two on each side, and then in the storage room there's one, but I ended up disconnecting it because the draw that 5 of these has on the power inverter, it's a 2000 watt power inverter. makes it hum, because it's not enough to turn the fan on, but it does this humming thing, which is annoying. And I want it to separate that light in the storage room anyway from these other lights. But when I do that, it's gonna be, I just have to cut some of these cords up that connect them and send one out back, and then just use one of the built-in switches. Here's the built-in switches. And this is for the inside here. And then this one up here is for the outside. We just got some pesticide dripping down. Got a ladybug problem in here. And ladybugs belong out there, not in here, so. I sprayed today because we're not gonna use this for about 4 or 5 more days, so I just wanted to get the pesticide in here and then give it time to vent. And the point of spraying the lights is lights attract bugs, so at night the bugs are gonna fly to the lights and then die out here instead of hanging out. It's kind of like a fly trap using chemical warfare. And then this would be like our little workshop. These motorcycles will be moved. So what we're up to now is we got these disco beds. They were, the best price I found on these disco beds was through Costco. So I've used these before, but I've never put them together. CXL version, so it's for big guys. Well, we'll get that other one put together and see if they'll even fit side by side, because I know my tent cots will, but these are a little bit wider than a tent cot, so. But if we make them into bunk beds, that gives us room over here to put a table, the cooler, all inside of here. Which the cooler doesn't need to be inside here because right now the temperature is awkwardly warm for Virginia. Christmas is in like less than 10 days. But it would be nice to have that extra space in here, so what I think we might do, I know I keep going back and forth, but I think we're gonna bunk these things up and try it for a night. And then if there's just too much moving around, or we determine we don't need that space come that time, I'll unbunk them and we'll go with this. You know what, I don't know, we're just gonna have to see when the time comes what I decide to do.